Several decades ago, Rabbi Shlomo Riskin, who is now the chief rabbi of Efrat in Israel, made the decision to leave his shul. He was a very successful community rabbi in New York, and to move and to make Aliyah to Israel, where he would build a new town, the town of Efrat, which today is a massive, massive place with many, many shuls and institutions. And he himself has built an enormous empire with a number of different places for higher Jewish learning. But it was somewhat of a difficult decision for Rabbi Riskin and his wife, because they had elderly parents in America. And even though it's true that these elderly parents later made Aliyah, at the time it wasn't something that they were thinking of. But nevertheless, Rabbi Riskin went ahead and made Aliyah. And people asked him, how could you have done that? How could you have left your elderly parents in New York and moved on to Israel? And he gave a very interesting answer. He says, it's true that my parents were there, but Judaism is always focused on the future and not on the past. And therefore, I was 100% confident in my decision that although I was leaving my parents, the past behind, I was moving to Israel for my children, to give them a new Jewish future that would be much better in the diaspora. And he said he had a precedent, and the precedent is none other than Avraham. In this week's parasha, Lecha, Hashem comes to Avraham at the beginning of the parasha, and he says to Avraham, you have to leave your home, and you have to go to Israel. And it's only in Israel that you're going to become a nation, and that you're going to have children. Well, wasn't it true that Avraham had an elderly father, Terach, that he had to leave behind in Mesopotamia? Nevertheless, Hashem said to him, you have to leave your parents, and you have to go here, because this is for the future of the Jewish people. And therefore, when we have this toss-up, and it's a very, very difficult decision that many, many Jewish families have to make about staying where our elderly parents are or moving somewhere for the future of our children, we have this precedent from Avraham. But not only that, Judaism is incredibly focused on the future and not so much on the past. It's amazing that so many people's Jewish identity is based on what was. My grandfather used to be a rabbi in the shtetl, or because of the Holocaust, or because of this reason or this ancient reason. That's not why we're Jewish. We're Jewish because we're keeping the tradition flowing from one generation to the other. And I think that no better point illustrates this than a law in the Code of Jewish Law. It's an incredible law. And the Code of Jewish Law describes the following scenario. That you have a town, let's say it's a small little town, and there are two processions happening at the same time. The one is a funeral procession. Somebody's just passed away. And they're actually carrying the coffin through the streets to the cemetery. And then coming down from another street is a procession with the bride. And they are marching the bride down to the chuppah. And these two processions bump into one another. Who must give way to who? And the Code of Jewish Law, based on the Talmud, says that the funeral has to stop and give way to the bride. Why is this so? Don't Jews have respect for the dead? Of course we do. The Torah says that we have to have incredible respect to the dead, and we have to bury them as quickly as possible. But when the past and the future collide, halakha, Jewish law, tells us that we have to give priority to the future of the Jewish people, and therefore the bride is the one that goes first. And that's why Rabbi Riskin took that big leap to leave his parents and to move to Israel, and it was the best move of his life, becoming the chief rabbi of Efrat and building this incredible center of Torah learning. And he learnt it from Avraham. And that's something that we should always keep in mind. As important as the past is, and as important as it is to know what made us who we were, we must always be focused on the future. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.